Imagine standing before a massive door that leads to a treasure vault. You can almost feel the wealth, freedom, and opportunities waiting on the other side. The lock? A secret formula. Half of it is already in your possession. The other half is hidden in the journey you're about to take. That's how Napoleon Hill opens Think and Grow Rich. Not with hollow promises, but with a challenge. This is no ordinary book. It's a manual for those who dare to turn thoughts into riches. A guide crafted from over 25 years of research and built on the experiences of more than 500 of the most successful people in history. The formula came from Andrew Carnegie himself, the man who built one of the greatest fortunes of the early 20th century, and was tested by people like Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Theodore Roosevelt, Woodrow Wilson, and many others. Hill is upfront. This isn't a book you speed read and forget. He insists you study it, absorb it, and apply it. He even recommends reading it one chapter at a time, marking lines that strike you, discussing it with others, and coming back to those insights until they're part of you. His goal isn't to entertain you, it's to transform you. One of his earliest examples is deeply personal. His son, Blair, was born without normal hearing. In those days, that meant a life of limitation, but Hill refused to accept this. By applying the principles you'll learn here, faith, persistence, and a burning desire, Blair not only learned to function like anyone else, he turned his so-called handicap into an advantage. Hill's point is powerful. These ideas aren't just for building bank accounts. They can turn any obstacle into opportunity. Hill encourages forming a mastermind group, a gathering of people who meet regularly to study, discuss, and build on each other's ideas. This is the same approach Carnegie and other wealthy men used to create results far bigger than what any one person could achieve alone. And then Hill dangles the mystery. He tells you the secret to wealth will appear in every chapter, but he will never name it directly. It's hidden in plain sight, and only those who are ready to use it will recognize it. This is no gimmick. It's a way to force you to read actively, searching for the key instead of passively absorbing information. He also shatters excuses. Many of the people who mastered this secret started with nothing: no money, no formal education, no influential contacts. Henry Ford never made it through high school, yet he transformed the world. The difference wasn't luck, it was recognizing and applying the formula. Carnegie himself had once challenged a young Napoleon Hill. Would he devote 20 years to discovering and sharing the secret with the world? Hill accepted, knowing there was no promise of pay. That yes turned into a lifelong mission, producing the 13 principles of success that this book explains. The first step in unlocking the vault is deciding exactly what you want. Hill says most people drift through life without a definite goal, and as a result, they never achieve much. Your desire must be clear, measurable, and backed by a willingness to give something in return. Vague wishes like, "I want to be rich," won't work. You need to write down the specific amount, the exact goal, and the time frame. Before the first official chapter even begins, Hill has already set the tone. Riches, whether in money, influence, or personal achievement, start with an idea. If you're ready, you already hold half the secret. The rest is here, in these pages, disguised within the stories, waiting for you to discover it. Next comes the story of a man who walked into Thomas Edison's office with no money, no experience, and no plan except an unshakable decision. What happened to him will reveal the first clear glimpse of the secret, and prove that anyone, starting from nothing, can claim a place among the successful.
Chapter 1. Introduction. Edwin C. Barnes had a dream. Not just any dream, but a burning, almost unreasonable desire. He wanted to work with Thomas Edison. Not work for him, but with him as a business partner. The problem? Barnes didn't know Edison, had no money for a train ticket, and no credentials to offer. Most people would have dismissed the idea as impossible. Barnes didn't. Determined, he rode to Orange, New Jersey on a freight train, showing up at Edison's office looking more like a tramp than a businessman. Years later, Edison recalled that first meeting. He stood there before me, looking like an ordinary tramp, but there was something in the expression of his face which conveyed the impression that he was determined to get what he had come after. Barnes didn't get the partnership that day. Instead, he got a small job in Edison's offices, nothing glamorous, but enough to put him in the right place. While others might have grown frustrated, Barnes kept his desire alive, knowing his chance would come. And it did, in a form no one else recognized. Edison had just invented the dictating machine, a product his salesmen weren't excited about. Barnes saw opportunity. He convinced Edison to let him sell it. He didn't just sell it. He sold it so successfully that Edison gave him the exclusive rights to market it across the country. Out of that deal came the slogan, "Made by Edison and installed by Barnes," and the beginning of a fortune. Barnes had proven the point. With a definite goal, persistence, and readiness to act, opportunity cannot help but appear. It may not arrive in the form you expect, but it will arrive. Hill contrasts Barnes' persistence with another man's costly mistake, the story of R.U. Darby's uncle, who staked a gold claim in Colorado. After finding a promising vein, he brought in machinery and began mining. Then the vein vanished. He drilled a little longer, gave up, and sold the machinery to a junkman for a few $100s. The junkman hired an engineer who discovered the gold was just 3 feet from where Darby's uncle had stopped drilling. That single decision cost him millions. Darby learned from the loss. Later, as a life insurance salesman, he refused to quit when prospects said no. He sold over $1 million worth of insurance in a single year, crediting his success to the lesson of 3 feet from gold, never stopping when the goal is close, even if it's invisible. Another of Darby's lessons came from an unexpected source, a small African-American girl in the rural South. She came to his uncle's mill asking for 50 cents for her mother. His uncle barked at her to leave. She refused. When he threatened her with a beating, she stepped forward, locked eyes with him, and shouted, "My mammy's dat to have that 50 cents." Her sheer determination broke his resistance. He gave her the money. That moment stuck with Darby. It was the first time he had seen sheer willpower overpower physical and social disadvantage. Later in life, whenever a customer tried to dismiss him, he remembered that little girl and pressed on. Hill's point is clear. Persistence in the face of rejection, setback, and apparent failure is the difference between those who succeed and those who give up. The road to riches, whether in money, skills, or personal growth, is littered with people who stopped too soon. Success often appears just after your most discouraging moment. More than 500 successful people told Hill their greatest achievements came one step beyond the point where defeat had seemed certain. The principle here is simple. Know what you want, refuse to quit, and be ready when opportunity slips in, often disguised as temporary defeat or a problem no one else wants to solve. Barnes became a partner to Edison not because of luck, education, or connections, but because he arrived with a definite purpose and refused to let go until it became reality. Darby built a $1 million sales career because he turned his past failures into rules for future persistence. The introduction closes with a challenge. Riches begin with a state of mind. Replace failure consciousness with success consciousness and train yourself to see possibility where others see impossibility. When the principles of this philosophy are mastered, opportunities seem to appear everywhere, not because the world has changed, but because you have. The next step is the starting point of all achievement, the transformation of desire into reality. This is where the journey truly begins.
Chapter 2. Desire. Every great achievement begins with desire. Not a wish, not a vague hope, but a burning, definite desire that refuses to be ignored. Napoleon Hill calls it the starting point of all achievement, the first step toward riches. Without it, nothing happens. With it, anything is possible. Hill tells the story of Edwin C. Barnes again, but this time through the lens of desire. Barnes didn't just want to be in business with Thomas Edison. He made it a definite goal. He didn't say, "I'd like to work with him if I get the chance." He said, "I will work with him. I'll do whatever it takes, and I'll stay at it until it happens." That kind of clarity and determination transforms desire from a daydream into a driving force. Desire has to be specific. Saying, "I want to be rich," is meaningless. Hill insists on a 6-step plan to make desire real. 1. Decide the exact amount of money you want. 2. Determine exactly what you will give in return. 3. Set a definite date to achieve it. 4. Create a clear plan and begin immediately, no matter if you're ready or not. 5. Write this statement down, including the amount, the time limit, and what you'll give. 6. Read it aloud twice a day, once before bed, once upon waking, and believe it as if it's already yours. This isn't magic, it's mental conditioning. By focusing the mind on a definite goal and reinforcing it daily, you train yourself to spot opportunities, act decisively, and persist through challenges. One of the most striking examples comes from Hill's own family. His son Blair was born with not normal hearing. Doctors said he would never hear or speak like other children. But Hill and his wife refused to plant in his son's mind the idea of limitation. Instead, they fed his mind with stories, encouragement, and belief that he could live a full, capable life. Years later, while in high school, Blair discovered a hearing aid device that allowed him to hear faintly. His excitement was so great that he convinced the company to let him help other hearing-impaired people. And in doing so, he became a valuable promoter for their product. His so-called handicap became the very thing that gave him purpose, income, and independence. That transformation began not with the hearing aid, but with the burning desire to live without limitation. Desire also has the power to outwit what Hill calls Mother Nature. He recalls a friend who became a successful minister despite being told by doctors he had only months to live. Instead of surrendering, he focused his thoughts on his work and his mission. He lived many productive years beyond the doctor's predictions, fueled by the will to fulfill his purpose. Hill warns that desire must be more than idle wishing. Wishing doesn't require action. Desire that leads to riches demands persistence, planning, and the willingness to stake everything on the goal. Most people fail not because they lack ability, but because they lack the persistence to keep going when the first setback appears. Every invention, business, and fortune began as an idea. Thomas Edison's light bulb was once only a thought. Henry Ford's automobile was once only a dream. The difference between them and countless others with good ideas is that they back their ideas with definite plans and unwavering determination. Hill closes the chapter with a challenge. Choose your desire, define it clearly, commit it to writing, and act on it immediately. Don't wait for perfect conditions. They will never come. The person who wins is the one who starts now and adjusts along the way. Desire is the match that lights the fire of achievement. Without it, no other principle will work. With it, obstacles become stepping stones, setbacks become lessons, and the impossible becomes possible. Next comes the second step toward riches, a force so powerful that it can turn desire into reality and failure into triumph. That force is faith.
Chapter 3. Faith. Faith, Napoleon Hill says, is the visualization and belief in the attainment of desire. It's not wishful thinking. It's the mental state that bridges the gap between your goal and its reality. Desire sets the target. Faith is the fuel that drives you toward it. Faith is a state of mind that you create through repeated affirmations and instructions to your subconscious mind. Your subconscious doesn't care whether your instructions are true or false, positive or negative. Feed it fear and doubt, and you'll live in failure. Feed it belief and purpose, and it will guide you toward success. Hill shares the story of how faith transformed an idea into one of the largest industrial achievements in history, the birth of the United States Steel Corporation. It began when Charles M. Schwab, then a young man, stood before a group of financiers and painted such a vivid picture of the future of steel production that they believed it enough to invest millions. Schwab's faith in the idea and his ability to make others believe turned Andrew Carnegie's vision into a reality worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Faith works like a magnet for the people, resources, and opportunities you need, but it must be nurtured. Hill's method for building unshakable faith is called autosuggestion, repeating to yourself, aloud and with emotion, the specific goal you've chosen as if it were already achieved. This repetition plants the belief so deeply in your mind that it becomes second nature to act in ways that make it come true. This is why he insists you write down your desire and read it daily. Over time, these repeated statements replace doubt with certainty. And once your mind believes something is possible, it finds a way to make it happen. Hill warns, however, that the same process works in reverse. If you constantly dwell on failure, lack, and limitation, your subconscious will accept those ideas and make them your reality. Fear is simply faith pointed in the wrong direction. One vivid example Hill gives is of Mahatma Gandhi. Gandhi's unshakable faith in his cause, freedom for India through nonviolence, allowed him to lead millions without holding political office or commanding an army. His belief was so strong that it became contagious, igniting a movement that eventually achieved independence. Faith turns the invisible into the visible. It transforms a written goal into a living mission. And it starts with the thoughts you choose to hold every day. Hill's advice is direct. Act as though your success is certain. Speak, think, and plan with the confidence of someone who has already achieved it. Refuse to entertain thoughts that contradict your goal. Just as a sculptor chips away everything that isn't the statue, you must remove every thought that isn't in harmony with your purpose.
The principle is simple but powerful. Desire is the seed. Faith is the soil that allows it to grow. Repetition is the watering and sunlight. Faith doesn't eliminate obstacles. It makes you believe so strongly in your ability to overcome them that quitting never feels like an option. With desire and faith working together, you've built the foundation. Next comes the tool for impressing your goal onto your subconscious mind with precision and consistency: auto-suggestion.
Chapter 4, Auto-Suggestion, and Chapter 5, Specialized Knowledge. Auto-suggestion is the bridge between your conscious mind, where you decide what you want, and your subconscious mind, where your beliefs, habits, and instincts live. Napoleon Hill calls it the medium for influencing the subconscious mind. The subconscious doesn't respond to vague wishes. It responds to repeated, emotionalized instructions. This is why Hill insists you read your written statement of desire aloud twice a day, once in the morning and once at night, with emotion and conviction. When you do this, you're not just reciting words, you're training your mind to accept your goal as reality. Over time, this constant feeding of positive, definite thoughts leaves no room for doubt. Consider the example of a salesman who each morning affirmed, "I am a master closer. I attract clients who are eager to do business with me." At first, the words felt fake, but after weeks of repetition, he noticed his behavior changing: more confident posture, stronger eye contact, bolder proposals. His subconscious had accepted the idea, and his outer actions followed. Autosuggestion is not daydreaming, it's deliberate conditioning. Just as repeated drops of water can wear a groove into stone, repeated thoughts wear grooves into your mental habits. Those grooves determine your actions, and your actions determine your results. But repetition alone isn't enough. You must feed your mind accurate, actionable ideas, and that's where specialized knowledge comes in. Hill distinguishes between general knowledge and specialized knowledge. General knowledge is what fills encyclopedias and classrooms. It's useful, but it doesn't directly lead to riches unless applied in a focused way. Specialized knowledge, on the other hand, is tailored to a definite purpose. It's the skill or understanding that gives you an edge in your chosen field. Andrew Carnegie didn't know how to make steel himself. His genius was in organizing people who had that specialized knowledge and applying it to a clear goal. Henry Ford was criticized in court for not knowing the answers to certain academic questions. His reply? He had a team of experts who could answer any technical question he needed. Ford's strength was not in knowing everything, but in knowing how to get and apply the right knowledge quickly. Specialized knowledge can come from many sources: personal experience, professional training, reading, observation, or the skills of others. The key is to organize it into a plan of action directed toward your goal. Take the example of a woman who wanted to start a high-end bakery but had no baking experience. She partnered with a talented pastry chef while she handled marketing, branding, and customer relations. Together, they created a thriving business because they combined different areas of specialized knowledge toward one purpose. Hill warns against mistaking schooling for practical knowledge. Many people with degrees fail financially because they never learn to apply their education to create value in the marketplace. On the other hand, some with little formal education become wealthy because they identify a goal and gather the specialized knowledge, whether from themselves or others, to achieve it. The formula is simple. 1. Decide what you want. 2. Identify the knowledge needed to achieve it. 3. Acquire that knowledge yourself or assemble a team who has it. 4. Apply it through a definite plan.
Autosuggestion plants your goal deep in your mind. Specialized knowledge equips you with the tools to reach it. Together, they turn vague dreams into targeted action. With these in place, you're ready for the next step, activating the workshop where all plans are shaped before they become reality, the imagination.
Chapter 6, Imagination, and Chapter 7, Organized Planning. Imagination is the workshop of the mind. Napoleon Hill calls it the place where all plans are created and shaped before they exist in reality. Everything man has ever built or achieved began as an idea. The airplane, the smartphone, the skyscraper, each started as a vision in someone's imagination before it was drawn on paper or brought to life. Hill describes two forms of imagination: synthetic imagination, rearranging old concepts, ideas, or plans into new combinations. Most inventions are born this way, by improving or adapting what already exists. Creative imagination, the ability to receive fresh, original ideas, often described as inspiration or flashes from the subconscious or an infinite intelligence. This type often comes when you're deeply focused on your definite purpose. A vivid example comes from Thomas Edison. He didn't invent the light bulb from nothing. Others had tried before him. What he did was synthesize existing ideas with his own improvements until it became practical and profitable. But imagination alone isn't enough. Many dreamers live in their minds and never see results because they fail to move to the next stage, organized planning. Organized planning is the crystallization of desire into action. Hill emphasizes that every successful person he studied had a detailed plan and they acted on it immediately. Waiting for perfect conditions is a trap. Plans should be put into motion while they're still being refined. He outlines practical steps. 1. Form a mastermind group, a team of like-minded people who share your vision or contribute essential knowledge. 2. Decide exactly what you will give in return for your goal. 3. Arrange your plan in clear, actionable steps. 4. Start immediately, even if your plan isn't perfect. 5. Replace any plan that fails with a new one, but never abandon your goal. Hill reminds us of Henry Ford's rise. He didn't wait until he knew everything about building cars. He started with what he knew, surrounded himself with experts, and improved along the way. His initial models had flaws, but each mistake became the foundation for better designs. Organized planning also means perseverance in the face of setbacks. Temporary defeat is not failure, it's feedback. When a plan doesn't work, revise it, don't quit. Edison tested thousands of materials for the light bulb filament. When asked about his failures, he replied that he had simply found thousands of ways that wouldn't work. The mastermind principle is especially powerful here. A group working in harmony multiplies the mental capacity of each member. Andrew Carnegie credited his fortune to the mastermind alliance he built with a select group of men whose knowledge and cooperation were directed toward one definite purpose. Hill also warns of the dangers of going it alone. Many people fail because they refuse to listen to others, overestimate their own abilities, or lack the humility to learn from mistakes. The most successful leaders are those who know they can't know everything and build teams to fill in the gaps. Imagination gives you the blueprint. Organized planning gives you the construction crew and the schedule. Combined, they take you from the mental vision of your desire to the tangible reality of achievement. With your plan in place, the next critical step is making decisions swiftly and firmly, the mark of all successful people. That's where we turn next.
Chapter 8, Decision, and Chapter 9, Persistence. Napoleon Hill says successful people reach decisions quickly and change them slowly, if at all. Unsuccessful people take forever to decide and change their minds often. Decision-making is a habit, and indecision is its opposite, a form of fear. Hill calls it the enemy of progress. Henry Ford was famous for his firmness in decisions. When he introduced the Model T, he stuck to it for years, despite advice to change the design. While others saw stubbornness, Ford saw the advantage of focus. It allowed him to perfect production and dominate the market. Most failures, Hill says, can be traced to a lack of decision. Opportunities are missed because people hesitate, waiting for certainty. But opportunity rarely comes with guarantees. It comes disguised as risk or challenge. Those who decide and act are the ones who seize it. Decision and persistence are inseparable. Once you've chosen a course, persistence is what keeps you on it when obstacles appear, and they always do. Hill tells of a man named Darby, whose uncle found a gold vein in Colorado. After a few successful weeks of mining, the vein disappeared. They drilled a little longer, gave up, and sold the equipment to a junk dealer. That dealer brought in an engineer who discovered the gold was just 3 feet from where Darby and his uncle had stopped. The junk dealer took millions in gold from that spot. Darby learned the lesson well. In his career as a life insurance salesman, he refused to stop when prospects said no. He became one of the top salesmen in his field, attributing his success to the principle of 3 feet from gold, never quitting when success might be just beyond the next effort. Persistence is not stubbornness for its own sake. It's the disciplined continuation of effort toward a definite goal, fueled by belief and desire. Many people quit not because the goal is impossible, but because they mistake temporary defeat for permanent failure. Hill outlines 8 factors that support persistence. 1. Definiteness of purpose, knowing exactly what you want. 2. Desire, strong enough to drive you through obstacles. 3. Self-reliance, confidence in your ability to follow through. 4. Definiteness of plans, clear steps to take. 5. Accurate knowledge, facts to base your decisions on. 6. Cooperation, harmonious support from others. 7. Willpower, the habit of concentrating thoughts on a single goal. 8. Habit, persistence becomes automatic when practiced. One of the most famous persistence stories Hill shares is that of Thomas Edison. He tested over 10,000 possibilities for the light bulb filament before finding the right one. To Edison, each failure was not a defeat, but a step closer to the answer. In business, in personal ambition, in creative work, the pattern is the same. Those who decide and persist are the ones who finish the race. Those who hesitate or stop early are the ones left watching from the sidelines. Decision is the spark. Persistence is the flame. Together, they burn through doubt, fear, and resistance until the goal is reached. With your mind made up and your persistence in place, the next step is to harness the power of collective thinking, the mastermind principle, and the driving force it creates.
Chapter 10, The Power of the Mastermind, and Chapter 11, The Mystery of Sex Transmutation. Napoleon Hill calls the mastermind the driving force behind nearly every great fortune. It's the coordination of knowledge and effort between 2 or more people working in perfect harmony toward a definite purpose. When minds come together in this way, a third, intangible force is created, a kind of third mind, greater than the sum of its parts. Andrew Carnegie openly credited his wealth to the Mastermind Alliance he formed with a small group of men who advised him, brought specialized knowledge, and helped turn ideas into reality. Henry Ford's success wasn't just his own mechanical genius. It was the combined efforts of engineers, managers, and business strategists united in purpose. The mastermind works because it multiplies your resources. No one can know everything, but through alliances you can access knowledge, experience, and skills you don't personally possess. The key is harmony. Without it, the group's power collapses into conflict. Hill also points out a deeper, less obvious benefit. Minds in harmony seem to stimulate each other's creativity, producing ideas that none of the individuals might have thought of alone. This is why meetings of true mastermind groups often spark breakthroughs. From here, Hill shifts to a principle that surprises many readers: the mystery of sex transmutation. At first glance, it seems unrelated to wealth, but Hill insists it's one of the most powerful forces a person can harness. Sex energy, he explains, is the most intense of all human desires. In most people, it's directed solely toward physical expression. But when that energy is redirected, transmuted into creative and productive channels, it fuels genius, ambition, and achievement. Hill points to history's great leaders, artists, and innovators, people like Napoleon Bonaparte, William Shakespeare, and Thomas Edison, noting that they were often driven by powerful emotional or romantic influences. That emotional intensity, when combined with discipline, became a source of inspiration and sustained energy for their work. Transmutation doesn't mean repression, it means redirection. A person who learns to channel sex energy into art, invention, business, or leadership gains a constant flow of vitality and motivation. Hill describes it as transforming raw desire into fuel for the imagination. He also notes that many men achieve their greatest success after finding a life partner whose influence inspires them to higher ambition. This isn't limited to men. The principle applies to anyone who turns emotional energy into purposeful action. One vivid example Hill shares is a salesman who was mediocre until he fell deeply in love. His newfound enthusiasm, confidence, and energy spilled into his work, and his sales soared. The emotional uplift didn't just make him happier, it made him more effective, persuasive, and creative. Sex transmutation is about recognizing one of the strongest natural forces we possess and choosing to use it for more than just physical satisfaction. It's about understanding that the same energy that creates life can also create fortunes, inventions, and works of genius. By combining the collective power of the mastermind with the personal power of transmuted energy, you gain both the external and internal forces needed for extraordinary achievement. With these forces in place, the next step is learning to control and direct the most important link between you and the world, your subconscious mind.
Chapter 12, The Subconscious Mind, and Chapter 13, The Brain. The subconscious mind is the connecting link between your conscious thoughts and the infinite intelligence, the universal source of ideas, inspiration, and opportunity. Napoleon Hill describes it as a constant communication channel that never sleeps. It records every thought, emotion, and impression, and it influences your actions in ways you may not consciously notice. The subconscious doesn't judge or filter what you feed it. Whether your thoughts are positive or negative, it accepts them and works to make them reality. This is why Hill stresses the importance of continually planting your definite purpose into your subconscious through autosuggestion. Your written statement of desire, repeated daily with emotion, is the key tool for programming the subconscious. Combine it with vivid mental imagery. See yourself already in possession of your goal. Feel the emotions of success, and your subconscious will act as if it's already true. Hill warns that fear,
Doubt and indecision also seep into the subconscious if you allow them. Left unchecked, they become self-fulfilling prophecies. Controlling your mental diet is just as important as controlling your physical diet. From the subconscious mind, Hill moves to the brain, the physical broadcasting and receiving station for thought. He compares it to a radio. The conscious mind is the operator, the subconscious is the transmitter, and the brain itself is the machine that sends and receives vibrations. Every thought you have emits a vibration, which can be picked up by other brains. This explains why being around certain people energizes you, while others drain you. You're exchanging mental vibrations, whether you realize it or not. Hill connects this to the mastermind principle. When a group of minds work in harmony, their combined vibrations create a mental environment that sparks creativity and problem-solving at a level none of them could reach alone. The brain also receives infinite intelligence, flashes of inspiration, sudden solutions, and creative ideas that seem to appear from nowhere. Many great inventors, business leaders, and artists describe moments where the answer to a problem came suddenly, often when they weren't actively working on it. Hill insists these moments aren't accidents. They're the result of a well-prepared mind, tuned to the right frequency through faith, desire, and persistence. He gives the example of Dr. Elmer Gates, a scientist who would sit in a quiet room, dark and still, and deliberately tune his mind to receive ideas. He claimed to have developed hundreds of inventions this way, not through forced thinking, but by creating mental conditions where ideas could flow. The principle here is simple. Your brain is both a receiver and a sender of thought. You can strengthen its broadcasting power by focusing on your goal, and you can improve its receiving ability by maintaining a calm, open, and confident mental state. When the subconscious is deliberately directed and the brain is tuned to the right mental frequency, you gain access to insights, opportunities, and resources that seem almost supernatural. But there's still one more mental faculty to awaken, the one Hill calls the door to the temple of wisdom, the faculty that ties all others together, the sixth sense. That's where we turn next. Chapter 14, The Sixth Sense, and Chapter 15, How to Outwit the Six Ghosts of Fear. The sixth sense, Napoleon Hill says, is the door to the temple of wisdom. It's not a mystical superpower, but a developed mental faculty that allows you to receive ideas, warnings, and flashes of inspiration without conscious reasoning. It's the part of the mind that integrates all other principles: desire, faith, autosuggestion, specialized knowledge, imagination, decision, persistence, the mastermind, the subconscious mind, and the brain into a unified force. Hill explains that the sixth sense works best when the mind is clear of fear and filled with a definite purpose. Many of history's greatest leaders have acted on sudden hunches or gut feelings that later proved correct. This isn't magic. It's the subconscious and creative imagination working together, drawing from experience, knowledge, and the infinite intelligence to produce instant guidance. The sixth sense can't be forced. It develops naturally as you practice the other principles.
Hill himself used it as a kind of personal counsel. In his imagination, he would meet with historical figures like Lincoln, Edison, and Carnegie, asking their advice on problems. While he knew this was a mental exercise, the answers that came often contained insights he couldn't have reached through logic alone. With the sixth sense awakened, you have the ability to sense danger before it strikes, recognize opportunities when they appear, and make decisions that align with your ultimate goals. But for it to work fully, you must clear your mind of the greatest enemies of success: fear. Hill names 6 basic fears. 1. The fear of poverty, the most destructive, leading to indecision and worry. 2. The fear of criticism, causing people to hide their ambitions or conform to others' opinions. 3. The fear of ill health, which can create illness through the mind's influence over the body. 4. The fear of loss of love, leading to jealousy, suspicion, and emotional instability. 5. The fear of old age, making people dread the natural passage of time. And 6. The fear of death, which paralyzes action and steals peace of mind. These fears often operate subconsciously, influencing decisions without us realizing it. Hill insists the only way to outwit them is to recognize them, confront them, and replace them with positive, definite thoughts. Faith and purpose are the antidotes. He warns that fear and faith cannot occupy the mind at the same time. By focusing on your definite goal and reinforcing it daily through the principles in the book, you starve fear of attention and strengthen your belief in success. The book closes with a reminder. Every person has the power to shape their life by shaping their thoughts. Riches, whether in money, happiness, health, or purpose, begin in the mind. The 13 principles are tools, but they work only if you apply them persistently and deliberately. The sixth sense is the summit of the philosophy, but it's also the beginning of a new stage. A life where you're guided not by fear or chance, but by an inner certainty that comes from mastering your own mind. When you've reached that point, Hill says the philosophy will work for you as if by magic, but it will be the magic you created.
This was the story of Think and Grow Rich. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, share and subscribe so you don't miss the next powerful content.